Welcome to the Digital Week. I'm Monica Bradley and we're here today with Dr. Matt Flynn.
Hello, how you going, Monica?
Oh, Dr. Matt Flynn, I am so excited about today, the future of work. So tell us a little bit, you're the theme leader in the future of work at the PwC Chair in the digital economy. What does that entail?
Well, first of all, I love it. It's a great job. And we've got a great team there as well, so that's exciting.
So your future of work is good?
I think so. Like, I'm hedging my bets here.
No, cool. So tell us a bit about the areas that your group focus on.
Yeah, so we've got 3 focus areas. We're focused on transforming, learning and leading for the future of work. They sound a bit buzzwordy, but you know, we want to help organisations know what's next for them. The big piece around 21st skills and all of those non-routine skills that can't be easily automated, they're really important. So that's the learning piece.
Right.
And also leading. Now, we don't want to talk about leading in a very generic way that you'd think of managers and leaders, but we want to reinterpret that and reimagine it. What does that mean for the future of work? What's leadership? So for instance, if you're talking about networking as a leadership skill, what does that mean in the future of work? So maybe it's more about platforms and on-demand economy and those sort of things. So we want to rethink about leadership in a digital economy, but future of work.
That's really exciting work.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about some of the things you've done recently.
Yeah, so there's been a lot going on. So very recently we did an innovation sprint, which is one of those key pieces that we do in the Chair in Digital Economy. And this one was on employment, school to work transition, helping out one of our government departments with that. And some really interesting outcomes with that one. So we sort of started, you know, it's such a crowded space. You think all of these government departments, state, federal, they're all trying to push information at youth. So we've really been thinking about that from a future of work perspective rather than just, you know, what's the point of these jobs might be currently in demand and we're pushing youth down that path. But if they're going to be automated or there's going to be big changes in the future, we need to be helping young people make smart decisions for the future. So that's just one of them. Also recently I did a keynote at the Australian Leadership Excellence Awards. And so that was great to sort of speak to these award-winning leaders.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's one piece. Another
And then
piece,
of course your research, right?
of course, my research, and not just myself, but Jess Blomfield is doing some really interesting work with startups in Brisbane. Everyone sort of wants a piece of startups because it's exciting, but...
Do you think also people are seeing part of the future of work is a capability I don't have in my organisation today, and they look to startups to be that new, that different, using different methodologies, different thinking processes? Yeah,
for sure. I think, you know, startups could be the sort of the sandbox, that sandpit where people learn how to learn, because you've got to do it so in an agile way. Everything's pretty lean.
It's very applied.
It's very applied. You know, where do you get your knowledge from? You've got to get it fast. So this
it's
is
unstructured often.
Yeah, for sure. It's very flat structured, all those kinds of things. So we're seeing that, or what seems to be emerging from all the interviews that we've been doing with startups is that startups might be just giving us some indications on how we're going to learn in the future.
Wow.
And also, they are creating a lot of jobs. Now, there's some interesting things emerging in that space. So, yeah, we can talk further about that.
Excellent. What really drew me to seek you out for a Digital Week interview today was you've published this wonderful piece of work, which I think is awesome, about the big wave of job creation.
Yes.
You know, a very optimistic article, really talking to the future of work in an optimistic and a really realistic sense. So very different to a lot of the alarmists that I see in the public press. Can you unpack a little bit of what you wrote in that article?
Sure. In recent times, I interviewed a whole bunch of so-called experts. No, they're experts, they're academics.
No, they're all experts.
But professionals as well. And we looked at about 50 of the most popular articles, journal articles, but also a lot of research reports. And
our friends from Oxford University.
Yeah, all of those, lots of them. And we were able to categorise them in different areas, like the alarmist, or those who are realist, those who are proactivists, and there's socialists as well, you know, of course. You know, ideas like the universal wage, which has actually been around for, I don't know, 50, 60 or more years, but it's really come into vogue again, that sort of concept. So But with all of that, what does that mean anyway? And there's a lot of confusion for people because some of the reported the number of jobs that are going to be automated, it could be low as 9%, which is, I think, a fairly realistic perspective, which comes out of the OECD, versus, 47% is your common one that's thrown around by Frey and Osborne, and then right up to 80%. So what is the public meant to think about this?
And we're seeing it capture a lot of that attention on the negative side. So tell us a little bit about you wrote the article from the big wave of job creation that you're seeing out of the future of work.
Yes, Monica. So let me ask you this question first. Have you ever been on a big wave? Has anyone ever towed you out on a jet ski and sort of set you free in front of it?
My entire life is like riding a big wave, I think.
When you were a little girl?
the metaphor of it. No, I actually surfed.
Did your parents push you on the surf mat?
I have surfed, yes. I'm not a particularly good surfer.
Yeah.
It's not something I would spend my days doing. But I am familiar, being a Queenslander, on our beautiful beaches, riding big waves.
Awesome. As am I, but yeah. So I guess zooming out a bit, if we were above those waves, and there was two really big ones, the first wave that we're seeing at the moment is it's really a wave of automation and fragmentation of jobs, not happening in the same way, in the same location, but there's a lot of mixture, and that's what's confusing for people. But that's really what our first wave is about. It's disruption at the process innovation level. So an example that I like to use is the fitness trainer. Think of the 1970s or 1980s fitness trainer. What would that have been like?
Like Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah.
Let's get physical.
Something like
enough.
that. Yeah,
Done.
totally. Beautiful.
Thank you. For those that are not watching the podcast, they can't see us chanting.
Yeah. So what's come along?
Wave one is?
Wave one, Olivia Newton-John. Okay, so what's come along is the fragmentation and automation of Olivia Newton-John's job. Maybe Olivia Newton-John's not the best example, but we'll roll with that.
So fragmenting her. We're replacing Olivia with something else.
So what have we replaced her with? Technology. So we have the wearables industry. So if you think a lot of people have got a Fitbit or a Garmin, or you're standing around waiting to go for a run and you're holding it up there hoping the satellite's going to pick up your Garmin. But so in the first wave, it's disruption at the process innovation level. Another one I like to give, which might help our listeners, is the blockchain. Really, the blockchain it's a process innovation. If you think about the banking sector, and you and I want to do a transaction, we can do it through the blockchain. So it's helping us with that process. But along comes wave two, which is the massive job creation wave. And that's the one that we love to focus on at the Chair in Digital Economy, because it's a good news story, but I truly believe it. If you think of that wearables example, now we have the application of wearables in so many industries, and it's created a massive amount of jobs.
So the wearable of the engineering industry is the Internet of Things.
Absolutely.
Versus the wearable in the fitness industry, which is I'm wearing something on myself to track myself and my performance. Okay. Does this collate a little bit with the work Professor Roseman does, which is above the line and below the line innovation, whereas below the line innovation is about efficiency and effectiveness, and it often creates artificial intelligence that will replace jobs. But above the line innovation is really these truly new value creation sources that create new streams of revenue. Yeah,
absolutely. So you could parallel that quite nicely. I just like that metaphor of the waves, and I think it's accessible to people to understand. So not using too many buzzwords, just trying to explain it in a simple way.
So wave two is a massive creation of jobs. So tell us a little bit more about that. How will that work?
Yeah, so if you think about, actually, can I introduce another concept with it, which I'm calling occupational forecasting?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you think of wave two, there's a whole range of factors in there that are going to create a lot of jobs. One being, like, we need to understand better what's the demand for jobs in their geographical location. Yes, we can look at things like the ABS, statistics on employment. We can look at the OECD if we zoom out at the global level. We can look at supply in terms of skills, skill clusters. like that's a change in mindset where, you know, you and I probably thought one job for life back when we were youngsters, but now
I don't think I ever thought.
Yeah,
of a
well,
job
you
like-
were always
I'm an entrepreneur,
advanced.
right?
Yeah.
I had 5 jobs before I was 13, but I mean, really, if we're looking at this massive wave of job creation, we're in a global marketplace, and we're also in an economy where skills can be applied digitally in a much. So the whole idea of regional. So maybe this future of work map that we hear a lot about, where we've got kind of the lower left-hand side, which is about the human, highly spoke but highly human touch jobs, and the top right, which is your highly cognitive function. I'm designing the algorithms of the future. Is the second wave coming at the top end, at the bottom end? Is it coming at both ends?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a really good question. It's a tough one to answer because neither of us knows the future. I think what we are trying to do in our team is use scenario thinking.
Right, okay.
So we can talk about what's possible and what's probable, but we're not saying this is the future, but we're looking at what's the potential impact here, what's the likelihood of it, and that's going to help organisations think more clearly and prepare better for it.
So I guess the most certain thing is that it won't be like it is today.
True.
It will be different.
Absolutely true.
Okay. So what's some advice that you would have for our listeners out there that are in a corporation, and what are some steps they should be taking now that will help them?
Yeah, good. Well, that idea of occupational forecasting, I think that's a really powerful idea because most of the thought leaders around the world are really looking at the problem of disruption and automation from one perspective, probably the method that they're comfortable with. So it's a narrow lens. So, I mean, my recommendation is that we need to look at the problem a lot more holistically and think about what are all the different impact factors that could better position my organisation for the future. So,
and even ways that new value can be created that don't exist today. By nature, it's a creative exercise.
Yeah.
So a forecaster, a little bit like how I would hear a weather forecast each day.
Yeah, great lead in, Monica. So look, this is my big prediction. In the future, that one of the most important jobs is going to be...
Should we have a drum roll?
Yeah, go on.
Da-dum.
Occupational forecaster. So think about the news that you watch on TV each night. And
don't watch TV news, but that's okay.
Oh, it's so modern. But look,
I'm watching my iPad.
You're watching your iPad. You've just watched the financial report.
Yes.
And then we go to the occupational forecaster just prior to the weather.
Okay.
So the occupational forecaster will be able to identify hot spots.
Oh, I like this.
Cold spots.
Yeah.
Maybe some fronts of massive job
That
creation.
might be sweeping across.
Wow,
that's great. I
so I'm
love
sort
that
of
analogy.
being, playing with that a bit, but seriously, this is going to be so important to people.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't that be just as important as the financial report?
Let's start that ourselves for the PwC Chair.
Yeah.
Why don't we just start a weekly jobs forecast, what are we calling it? Occupational forecasting.
Absolutely. And we can build, because we're the Chair in Digital Economy, why don't we build, or let's get a government department to do it, the Bureau of Occupational Forecasting.
A Bureau of Occupational Forecasting.
Yes, so we would have an
Very
app,
good.
just like the BOM, but this would be for occupational forecasting.
I'm really loving this. This is going to go a long way. Thank you very much for your time today.
My pleasure.
It's been another extraordinary time. So you can find all of Dr. Matt Flynn's work with us at the PwC Chair in the Digital Economy on our website, or you can follow us on Twitter. We really welcome and encourage all of your feedback about the future of work. Highly contentious issue. Let's rely on the PwC Chair and the team to really blow the lid off this on the positive and the negative side so we can manage it going forward. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Cheers.